as long as the CP Ellises of the world keep getting their way, ain't nothing gonna change.
She looked at me like I was some kind of monster.
What'd you expect?
I'm talking about home.
I'm the president of the Klan. I'm supposed to hate black folks. Now, if I don't believe that, then I got a problem.
The Best of Enemies is based on a true story. In 1971, in Durham, North Carolina, a man by the name of C.P. Ellis was an exalted Ku Klux Klan member. And Ann Atwater, who was a community activist who worked with an organization called Operation Breakthrough, which was used to help black people out of poverty in their neighborhood. These two individuals came together in 1971 during a crisis in Durham, North Carolina, where a charrette was organized by a man named Bill Ruddick to bring these opposing sides together to come to a solution.
Talking about home.
In 1971, in Durham, North Carolina, C.P. Ellis was a member of the Ku Klux Klan. He was labeled as a exalted Cyclops who was a person that was elected by members of their neighborhood for a term of 1 year to oversee the neighborhood and report to their grand wizards and conduct community organizations and meetings and stuff like that I know nothing about. During this time, a woman by the name of Ann Atwater was a community activist working with a program called Operation Breakthrough that was meant to help black people out of poverty. The events that are depicted in this movie, a black school was burned and the students had to be desegregated and allowed to attend a white school. And this caused a lot of controversy amongst the black people and white people within that community. Enter Bill Ruddick, who in 1971 owned his own consulting firm and was hired by Wilbur Hobby to lead the charrette in Durham, North Carolina, which was labeled Save Our Schools. As depicted in the movie, Bill Ruddick is hired to lead the charrette, and he suggests that C.P. Ellis and Ann Atwater be the two co-chairs that lead the charrette. As the movie title suggests, these two were the best of enemies, and so C.P. Ellis, being an active Klans member in his community, and Ann Atwater being a community activist in her community, these two were on opposite sides of the fence. And so obviously they didn't see eye to eye. And Bill Ruddick is a man who convinced these two opposing forces come together to come to a final solution. I will say that this is C.P. Ellis's movie. C.P. Ellis is played by Sam Rockwell, and Sam Rockwell gives a fantastic performance here as C.P. Ellis. When the movie starts off, I'm thinking, oh, this movie's going to be about Ann Atwater, who is played by Taraji P. Henson, who also crushes it in here. But we're going to talk about C.P. Ellis because I can say that this is C.P. Ellis's movie, which might upset some people, but hear me out for a second. This movie depicts a man and his way of life. It showcases this man in a lot of aspects. It shows him being racially charged, him being racist, but it also shows his humanity. And I feel like the movie spoke volumes to me when we had these scenes where certain characters in here during the initiation of the charrette, the meetings that they had before they conducted the charrette, when they were trying to decide who would be the two co-chairs, when we had Bill Ruddock leading that charge, who was played by Babu Sise in here. There was one character, I don't remember the character's name, but this character, after hearing C.P. Ellis give his speech about why he doesn't want black kids to integrate with white kids, and he also poured out his heart about his feelings with his family and the reason why he's opposing this whole thing. There was a character that stood up and said, "Yeah, I understand you because you pulled out your heart," and it was a black person. And a lot of people will consider that, oh, you're making friends with the enemy, you're selling out. But as the title suggests, and what I get from the title is that black people and white people are the best of enemies, because in the United States of America, yes, this country was not created for black people. This country was created to enslave black people and just use them until they rot away and die, and white people are the superior race. That's what black people were taught when this country was created. And then people got wise and said, you know what, that's unconstitutional, that's not right, we're all human beings, we should all integrate together. And that's what happened. But then there are some people, white people, who don't like that for some reason. And I feel like this movie spoke on many different levels. It illustrated C.P. Ellis as a man who had humanity, who had a certain lifestyle, and the movie portrayed him as a normal man who just happened to be a Ku Klux member. And I felt his story and I understood it, and I feel like it may make some people upset, but from what I got from it, I got the story of a man who was struggling in his life, who was trying to make ends meet, and who joined an organization that is basically a gang. The Ku Klux Klan is a gang. It's a cult. The way the Ku Klux Klan is depicted in this movie, it's a gang. It's a cult. It's like in a gang, you want to be a part of a community because maybe some things aren't going right at home. You want to be a part of a community, and this community is supposedly they're supposedly looking out for you. You know, when you don't have certain things in your life, they fill those empty voids for you. And that's what I got from the C.P. Ellis character here. Now, the downside to this, I feel, is with Ann Atwater, who is played by Taraji P. Henson, and Taraji P. Henson gives a fantastic performance. However, I feel that since this is more C.P. Ellis's story, Ann Atwater, she's not pushed to the side, but she's in the forefront, but I feel that she is just a character who is used as a device to guide C.P. Ellis along on his journey. And there's nothing wrong with that, but with all of the scenes that we get with C.P. Ellis at his house with his kids, seeing his other kid who's in the hospital, and seeing him at work, and just viewing all of these different aspects of his life, when we see Ann Atwater, yeah, we see her, you know, in a courtroom, you know, being herself and delivering her speeches about equality and these things aren't right. But the one thing that bothered me is that we didn't get enough with Ann Atwater in here. They didn't really give her much to do here. She had a character and she was very lively, especially with the performance by Taraji P. Henson here. But like, for instance, there was a scene in this movie where we see C.P. Ellis at the dinner table with his family, and we witness all of this development going on with him and his lifestyle. And then after maybe 5 minutes of that or so, we cut to Ann Atwater, and we don't get any of that. We don't get any of the scenes with her two kids at the dinner table. We just see her saying goodbye, go to school, and then the school, you know, gets burned down, and then we see her daughter one more time, but we really don't get anything with her kids. We don't really see what goes on in Ann Atwater's personal life.
Talking about home.
I just wish, as much as they gave C.P. Ellis, they should have given Ann Atwater just the same. So if I had to say a percentage of who gets more screen time in here, Sam Rockwell's character, C.P. Ellis, gets 65% story, whereas Taraji P. Henson's Ann Atwater gets 35% story. In this movie, they're depicting two different sides of the story, mostly on C.P. Ellis, but then we understand where Ann Atwater's coming from too. And My verdict for this movie, this is a great movie. It's a great movie. I enjoyed this movie a lot, seeing CP Ellis go through his journey. Only negative thing I can say is that I wish Ann Atwater had more story development in here. I wish her character had more dimensions than just leading CP Ellis on his journey. But what I saw from the CP Ellis character in here, played by Sam Rockwell, was magnificent. I love seeing his journey. There was a scene that really spoke to me where he was talking, CP Ellis was talking about why he joined the Klan. But at the same time, he was like, it really doesn't make any sense. And I felt that because when I think about racism, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why do you hate a particular race so much? And I think this is a great movie, and it taught me something. I didn't know anything about this stuff because I fell asleep in history class, and I don't even know if they taught me this stuff in history class. I don't think they did. And if they did, I fell asleep because I never really paid attention to history class because I'm stupid and I don't know my own history. And that's all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time.
We are, as a human species, we are so intelligent with these astonishing things. We can fly to the moon, but we still do stupid things.